Good afternoon, all. We extend a very warm welcome to everyone gathered here. On behalf of SRM IST, College of Science and Humanities, we welcome you all to the 3-month online certification program on machine learning using Python from 20th September to 10th December 2021. So today's session will be taken care by Dr. S. Jayachandran, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Applications, PCA. With no further delay, I hand over the session to Dr. S. Jayachandran. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to all. My voice is audible. Okay.
Yes, sir. Your voice is audible.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. So actually, for SRM IST Ramapuram campus, conducting a first time in a 3 months online certification program, machine learning using Python. Okay, already some industry persons also connected here. So we are going to deliver the certification program in 3 months. So first I have to share the syllabus. What are the topics we are going to cover? Okay. So curriculum for 3 months online certification program, machine learning using Python. So content of the Python, first hour today, day 1, the fundamental of Python, introduction to Python, running a Python programs and writing Python code. And second hour working with data, and third input and output statements, and then making decision fourth hour, and working with strings, functions, Python classes, class instance, Python inheritance, Python math module, Python sending a email using SMTP, Python exception. Okay, so up to first 15 hours I'm going to cover in the session. So today we are going to see Python introduction. So before we are entering into the Python, just I have to play one video. You can just look at this video. Anyone can tell me what the video shows? Anyone? That what that video shows to you? Just to give one word about that video.
How we overcome all the languages.
What? I couldn't hear your voice clearly. Tell me what that video shows.
How
Tell
we
me
overcome all the languages, okay?
how to overcome all the languages.
By
Okay,
using
that video shows like that. Okay,
that all are instruction-based coding language, no sir, COBOL, like that.
okay. So that video shows exactly the same what you said. It's okay, actually. No issues. I will tell. Actually, the first they are comparing with the Java. Okay, so initially in previous years and all, the Java is also booming that language. Okay, so everyone using Java. So Java is showing some futures, and then the market is also high that time. Okay, so again the Python is attacking the Java first. Then Python is fighting with the C++. Again, the Python is also one. Okay, so this is a video shows like this because the Python is comparing to the all the languages. Okay, C, C++, Java, and Ruby. So they compare with all the languages. So that's a video shows. Okay, so Python is a familiar now. So that's why everywhere in using the technology Python. Okay, so first history of Python. Okay, actually Python was conceptualized by Studio Van Rossum in the late 1980s. Actually, he published the first version of a Python code in February 1991 in Netherlands, the Amsterdam. Then the Python is derived from the ABC programming language. Okay, so one of the oldest language, so which is a general purpose programming language that had been developed at the CWI. And then actually why the author Rossum, why they choosing the Python? Actually, he was a big fan of Monty Python Flying Circus, so like one animal like this. So the later he chose this word the Python. So now everywhere they're using Python is now maintained by core development team at the institutes. Although the Rossum still holds a vital role in the directing its progress. So this is a history of Python. Then what is a Python? Actually, Python is a powerful and then that's open source as well as high level and programming popular programming languages. And it's used for web development as well as a scientific and mathematical application development. And it provides excellent library support and has a larger developer community because they're having a larger library files and then larger platforms we are using in the Python. And then it provides easy integrations with the web services and GUI based desktop applications. And most of the organizations now we are using the Python like YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, and Snapchat. So many companies are using this Python. And actually it's exclusively used for the machine learning projects and then artificial intelligence and data science. So all the latest technologies are using this Python. Okay, so Python is open source. We don't want to pay any money to get the softwares. Okay, so Python is open source programming languages. So what are the organizations are using Python? This is first Google, and then the Microsoft, then Facebook, and then Mozilla Firefox, the browser, and Cisco is a networking organization, and then Quora. Quora is also one of the app is using nowadays, and YouTube. So these are the organizations using the Python. Next, before we are entering into the Python, first we know about the what is the interpreter and versus compilers. Okay, I think all the participants you know about these words, interpreter versus compiler. Actually, the every programming languages you want to execute that steps you have to follow. Okay, so initially we are using the C programming languages. So first we are going to type the programming languages in the editors. After that you are going to save in the editors in the .c extension. With the help of the extension you are going to convert the source code into the object code. Then object code is converting into the intermediate code. After that only the execution will be completed. Okay, so this is a process actually compiler will done in the C, C++, Java. So the compiler, its whole source code should be converted to the object code, then object code converted into bytecode, then finally the execution will be happen. Okay, so here the Python is most advantageous for this. We are using the interpreter. Okay, actually the Python is interpreted language, so that is a very important special features in the Python. Actually, there are two sort of programming languages. Actually, the interpreted one, another one is compiled one. Okay, compiled one already we discussed C, C++, Java. So they're having some process steps is there. I already told no source code, bytecode. After that, only that executable will be done. Okay, so this is the process for compiled languages. Okay. So this is how compiler works and how interpreter works. Actually, the source code in compiler, the source code should be put into the compiler, and then machine code, and finally only you'll get the output. Okay, so this is the compiler works: source code, compiler, machine code, output. Okay, then interpreter works. How it works means the source code that will be saved in the source code. Then intermediate instruction is there, that should be a byte code. And then here the interpreter we are using one virtual machine, so that's a Python virtual machine. So then at to finally get the output. So this is how the interpreter works and compiler works. Okay, so this is the major feature in the Python, because immediately we get the output with the help of this intermediate instruction as well as the Python virtual machines. So compiler works and interpreter works. Then why Python is so popular? The sense the first thing is easy to learn and use, because the syntax is very simple. So they don't have any format. Just whatever English we are using for communicating, the same simple English we can use for these languages. So that's why the developers and most of this are easy to learn and use this Python. So that's why the Python is so popular. Then second thing, that's automation. Actually, it's a Python, the automation sector, that like a manufacturing or robotics and so many latest interventions and the inventions has comes under the automation. So most the background area of these automations is behind the Python. So Python is so popular in the automation. And then next on the Python community, actually they are supporting the developers, they are supporting the technical wise and the technology improvements. So they're having the mature and supportive Python community. That's why Python is so popular. Next, another major advantage in this things, big data, the machine learning, cloud computing, and deep learning, and then so many latest technologies were using this Python, because Python is an interpreted language, so that is why it's so popular. Then you get a nearby, what you have to say, you are interact with the machine, it's near, so that is why the Python is so popular. So this is the Python most futures in the upcoming days. Next, again comparison. Actually, we compared with C. Already I told Python is interpreted, C is a compiled, and Python is object oriented, and C is a procedural oriented. And Python is very simple, and C is quite hard. And then Python is general purpose, okay, for automation or whatever application, web-based application or Windows-based application, GUI application. So this is very simple. And then C, it's evergreen purpose, and then we're using. And then Python is high level, and C also is a high level, but here mentioning the comparison low level. Then Python is slower and execution, and C is a faster execution, because Python is using interpreter. So interpreter, it takes time to run the program. So so this is the Python versus C programming languages. Next, we are going to compare with C++. Okay, actually, Python already we discussed, and then C++, it's very hard for beginners, because we are introduced that concepts, object-oriented programming concepts. Okay, in object-oriented programming concepts, actually class, objects, and polymorphism, inheritance, encapsulation. So many concepts are behind in the oops. So that's very hard for beginners. How they don't know how to execute that program, how to create the object is very difficult for beginners. So this is very hard for beginners in C++, and it is very fast, because the object already you have created and the execution is very fast. So that's why the C++ is very fast. And then very harder access to libraries. Okay, actually the predefined library is there to access the C++, and then some of the libraries also, it depends upon the user perspective. Next, C++ is compiled languages, and then mostly we are using the gaming purpose, the gaming applications. So because all the gaming applications needed the object representation, so that's we used gaming drivers. Okay, and the Python is a dynamically typed and the statically typed. That is depends upon the coding style, and we are mentioning in the editors. So this is the Python versus C++. Next, the comparison with the Java. Actually, Java is both compiled and interpreted languages. Okay, so this is the major advantages in Java. So both compiled and interpreted. And actually, Python is a dynamically typed, and there are no hardcore rules for semicolon and braces. It works on indentation. Indentation is in space. We don't use curly braces and all. You just space, give the space for the structure of the code. Then Java is a statically typed programming language. There are hardcore rules for braces and semicolon. Whenever we are ending the statement, then so it should be the semicolon. Then Python is relatively slower than Java. So Java is a faster as a compared to Python. And then Python, actually the data science and the machine learning languages are made very simple. So using Python, and then it be used for web developments also. And Java, it has been trend for a long time and is vastly used in Android application development, embedded systems, and web applications. So this is the comparison between the Python versus Java. Then Python developers are less as compared to Java developers. So why we are being paid more, because the Python is now only getting the booming, so that's why they are paying more. And the Java beginners is less, and for advanced Python programs compared to advanced Python programs. So this is the Python versus Java. So already we compared Python versus C, Python versus C++, Python versus Java. So this is the comparisons with the languages. Next, we are going to discuss with the programming languages. Actually, the very simple Python is a very simple and familiar, and it uses English like a syntax, which makes a Python simple and easy. Python code is 1/3 to 1/5 size of the C++ or Java code, because it is a simple syntax and built-in tool that allow programmers to develop the programmers faster than in other programming languages. See, for example, in Java, we are going to create on class and class name, and then we are going to use on functions public, static, void, main string, and then you are going to print the hello. Then you can use that system.out.println. Okay, so this is the statement around 3 lines of code, and then we can use in Java. So this is comparison with Python. So Java is uses 3 lines of code to print hello. In C, same thing. You are going to create a header file, then you are opening the main functions, then you are going to use a printf statement to print the hello. So this is the compare with C. Finally, that Python, you just print function. We can use a hello. It's a single statement we can use in the Python. So this is the very simple and familiar language for all the developers who are using the Pythons. Okay, so this is the introduction of simple and familiar of the Python. Next, portability. Actually, the portable in the sense whatever applications you are developing, that application should be executed in any operating systems and any devices. Okay, for example, mobile app, so Android app, and then the Android browsers, Google Chrome browsers, Firefox browser. So for suppose the users creating a web application, okay, so that web application should support all type of browsers. That design should support all type of browsers. Then that viewable content is we have to similar to all the browsers. So here Python is portable and it's execute in any OS and any devices. Why we are mentioning here device, any devices in the sense, actually the Python we are using the machine that related what I have to say related work, related projects, machine learning related, or automations or robotics. So the Python is interact with the machine. So this Python is supportable and execute any OS and any OS devices. ஆமா சார் ஜூலை 29 சார். Okay, then the Python is extensively interact with the C, C++, and .NET and Java. And then we are going to implement in C and Python. We are using this CIthon. And then if you have Python for Java, you can use Python. And then Python for Net, and Python. So this is a three extensible we are using in the Python. Then interpreter, actually in the interpreter, it's conversions and the execution of the program. Already we discussed before also interpreter, how interpreter works. And then interpreter can run interactively, can be extended with additional high performance modules. So this is how the portable and as well as the interpreter. Next, library support. Actually, every programming language is having a huge libraries, okay, compared to other languages. So Python provides a large collection of built-in and portable functionality. It's known as standard library. It supports the application level programming to network programming, and it supports the third-party application software for website constructions, numeric programming, and serial port access, game development, machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, cloud computing. So the supports the various levels with the help of the library supports. So the Python is provides a large collection of built-in and portable functionality. Actually, third-party application in the sense that that application should support basic criteria, and then we can proceed with the advanced. So it supports third-party applications, the website construction, and then the numeric programming, like a mathematicals and the graph, Excels, and then accounting. So whatever the numeric purpose we are using, the Python is also support to the particular party, third party. And then serial port access and USB like networking purpose also that supports the library. And game development, actually now that Android games and the Windows games, Linux, and whatever operating system we are using, the game development, it's also interact with the Python. So that's also third party application software supports the Python. Next, actually Python plays a predominant role in the web development. Okay, so for web development, actually the web designing is different and web development is different. Okay, the web designing, it's only the front end, that GUI interface only the web designer going to perform, and the back end, that middleware, we are going to play Python role. Okay, so the fetching the data from the websites and retrieving the data, and we are intermediate that Python versus web designing, and the web designing as well as the database. So the Pythons play a predominant role in the web development. So this is also another features in the Python. Next, that's Python is used extensively in the artificial intelligence, especially in machine. Okay, so the artificial intelligence started a few years. Started is back, few years back, but that now here the word only the artificial word is we are using in the real term and the real analysis for research as well as sectors, IT sectors. Everywhere they were using the artificial intelligence. Actually, it's used in extensively in artificial intelligence, especially in machine learning. And then the machine make to think and analyze and make the decisions. So it comes there like robotics. Okay, it's a robot, and Google also developed driverless cars. and so many futures came for artificial intelligence. So in Python, you are going to use a library like scikit-learn keras and TensorFlow, OpenCV. So this is the library files for extensively used in artificial intelligence. And then so use the computer graphics to develop a GUI and a desktop applications. Actually, Pygame for game development and Tinkinter for GUI. So this is the introduction about Python. Next, we are going to see the tools. What are the tools and what are the technologies we supported in the Python? So it handles a huge volume of data, like a big data. Okay, actually, the word came from recently big data. Why we can say big data in the sense it's based on the volume or variety and velocity. The three V's are they are concluded in the big data. So the Facebooks, Instagram, Twitter, they are generating the huge number of data in the day by day. So they have to handle that huge volume of the data, and it supports a parallel computing. So that's why we use the tool. Actually, big data tool is Hadoop, but here Python is also having some library files like a PyDoop. It's used to write the map reduce program and process data in HDFS cluster. And then another big data processing, like we are using one of the tool Dask and PySpark. So this is also big data processing. So it handles the huge volume of the data and supports a parallel computing. So this is the big data using Python. Next, data science. Actually, everyone knows the word data science, data analytics, data analyze. So they all play with the data. So here, the statistical analysis we are going to perform the Python. So we are using NumPy and Pandas to deal with the tabular matrix as well as statistical data, and then analyze the data is visualized using a matplotlib and seaborn packages. So Python in data science, we use these packages to work with this Python. Okay, next, how to install the Python. Actually, we are going to download the Python from the following sites. Okay, so just now I'm going to give them demo, then how to download the Pythons. Okay, so here the link will be here, the www.python.org. Okay, so you can just copy this link and then you can paste it in the address bar. Okay, now screen is visible. So just I typed Python. So it's the first site, the first search itself coming. So here, first you can check what are the versions are available in the Python. Actually, Python is the older version is see 1.4. It's a Python 1.4. The documentation released 1996. Only the first version. So Python is released Python 1.4. It's 1996, and later it's developed. Now we are in the versions 3.9.7. Actually, this is the 30th August only they released, but now we are not using this. But now we are in the 3.8.12 in these versions, like a 3.8.11, I think. So this is the version we are going to use. Okay, so they are updating monthly wise also. See here, lot of improvement in the 2021. See February 19, and then 2nd April, 3rd May, 28th June, August, October. This is the 2020, and February, April. So see, lot of features are added in the year 2021 itself. So this is the Python versions you are going. Then you are going to download. You click the downloads, and then if you are having a OS Windows OS, You can use for download for Windows, or if you're having another OS, you can click view the list of downloads. Okay, if you're having Mac OS or if you have any other platform, you can just, so here you can click the downloads, and then you can click the download Python 3.9.7. You can just click the download, and then you download this. Okay, it's a small file only. Then you can just install this. Already I installed. Anyway, I just installing the basic up to end, and then after that I quit the application. Just here you can choose the path where you are going to install C colon users admin like this, and then you can just click initializing and then install. So installing process is going on. So it's 3.9.7. It's a 64-bit. There is a two configuration is there, 32-bit, 64-bit. So my laptop is supports a 64 bits. So now I am installing the 64-bit. So this is the basic program we are going to run in this Python. Okay. So if you are going for learning machine learning, that time ma'am will tell the tool, which tool you are going to use for machine learning. This is for basic purpose. We are going to use this. And then lot of editors is there, like Anaconda, PyCharm, Spider. So many editors are there to work with the Python. Okay. So now the installing is complete. So Python 3.9.7. So this is the latest version we are installing. Okay, setup also successful. So okay, just you can close. This is how you are going to install the Python. Okay. So now just I am going to share my screen. 1 second. So now I'm going to open the Python IDLE. Actually, the Python programming we are going to run in the two ways, using command prompt also we are going to use, and then you can use ideally also idle. Okay, then now I'm going to open a new file. Here I'm going to use print print welcome to certification program. So this is the sample code. Now I am going to save this file. See here, local disk. Okay, and then you can check with the Python. Okay, wait 1 second. Okay, see local programs, and then Python. See, we already installed 3.8 version. Now 3.39, 3.9 is also is there. Okay, so both versions are we are having. So I used a 3.8 only. Okay, now I am saving this file, intro.py. The extension is very must for whatever programming language. The extension is must, because then only the machine knows the identify the which programming we are executing. So that is the instruction we are going to pass in the extension. Okay, so file name intro.py. So I am saving this document. Now I'm going to run this. module. See, this is the welcome to certification program. So it executed in the shell mode, shell shell window. Okay. So welcome to the certification program. So this is the basic code we are used in the Python. Okay. So it's a single line. If suppose Java using more than 3 lines, and C++ also we are using 3 lines. So it's simple. Python is simple. So that's why we use in single line itself. We are printing the text. So this is the Python features, important features. So, okay. If if you have any doubts, you can ask in chat box also. I will check with chat box and I will tell you. Okay. So today we only discuss about the basics and what are the features in the Python, and Python installation also we done. Okay. And then versions we compared. Actually now 3.9 also installed already. 3.8 only the previous versions we used. So Python installation also we done. Okay. Then Python environments. Okay. Actually already I told no that two ways we are going to execute the program. One is using the command prompt also. You can run the program, and then another environment is shell environment. Like that also you can. So here that there are three different environments to work with Python. First one is an interactive interpreter, and second one is a scripting file, and third one is IDE. So IDE like PyCharm, like that whatever editor we are using for Python, you can run the program. So this is the integrated development environments. So these the three different environments to work with the Python. Okay. So this is how the first basics. So it's a fundamental of Python and the introduction to Python and running on simple Python program, and then the code also we discussed. Okay. So if you have any doubts today, if you can doubts, you can ask. Chat box. Srividya, you can download 3.8. It's enough because 3.8 we have a lot of features, but we don't know the documentation also. So Srividya, we can use 3.8 is enough. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
And next class I will tell you the editor, which editor you are going to use. Next class I will explain how to install the editors. Okay.
Okay, sir.
The
Okay,
editor
sir.
is best way to run the programs. The actually
Okay.
editor itself inbuilt having some features, and then for getting the latest application libraries also. Okay. So you can install both 3.8 and 3. But you can use 3.8 is best. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Next, Kishore, sir, do we get the recording of this session for future? Yeah, you can get no issues. If you have missed this class, you can get no issues. Okay. Then any other doubts? You can put in the chat box. This is a introduction class only. So about Python, you can compare with the other languages only we discuss. So in mobile, it's we can download. So yeah, you can download in mobile also. But in mobile, some of the features are not applicable. Okay. So in mobile, you can just run a simple program like Hello World program, and then mathematical program only we can run. Other features like machine learning programs and the deep learning programs, the latest programs we won't do. And libraries also won't support, some libraries won't support in the mobile also. Okay. So in mobile, the basic features only it supports. My suggestion is don't use mobile phone. Whatever you are learning the language, you can do it in the laptop or computer system. Okay. Then any other doubts? Today's first class, so you can interact. Otherwise, it's very broad. So you can ask any type of questions like general about Python or languages, programming languages, or recent trends. Whatever you're having any doubts, you can ask. Today's first class, so the interaction will be good. No, any doubts? Any doubts, participants? Okay, okay, participants. We'll see next class. Okay, tomorrow same time, 3 to 4. Okay, so in chat box. So can you please share the PPT? Okay, okay. In classroom, we'll send. This year, the PPT will be shared. Okay. No, so I don't have any doubts. That's okay. Thank you. Okay, students. Thank you. We'll see next class. Okay, tomorrow same time, 3 to 4 only. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, 4 class. Okay, students. Thank you. We'll see tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.